live from T3 in Las Vegas. And one of the things I love most about doing these on location is we have access to just a cornucopia of fintech giants. And we have a legend with us right now, Bob Veras. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you. I'm in the cornucopia.
You are in
along with a bunch of vegetables, I think.
Exactly. So we're talking all things T3 today. And we were just talking a little bit, Bob, off camera, that it's perhaps just you and Joel are the only two folks that have been to T3 for each of the 20 years that it's been going on. Is that right?
Well, we don't know for sure. We were actually talking about that and trying to figure that out. But he's been at every one because he runs it.
Of course.
And I've been every one because I'm a big fan of what he does. And also, this is where in a year, all year I can spend trying to figure out what the hell's going on, or I can come here for 3 days.
Yes.
And those 3 days are extremely productive for a writer and journalist who's trying to figure things out.
Yep. It is jam-packed here. And I'm sort of an aspiring journalist, or not really a journalist, but I play one on the internet, as I like to say. And what's great...
You're doing a pretty good job of pretending here. I like this.
Thank you. But what I love about being at these conferences, especially T3, there's just so much talent here. And it gives me an opportunity to have these little quick chats with folks like yourself. So let's get right to it. Tell us what you're seeing so far. It's early on in T3, but what are you seeing so far? What do you like?
Well, and I'll start with what I'm not seeing, and I'm hoping I will see it. But, every year they would say at the podium, the future is AI and artificial intelligence is going to, and every year they wouldn't actually have any artificial intelligence, anything, and of course I would make fun of it, why are you saying that if you don't have any? And now we have actual AI, and I haven't yet heard anybody talk about how AI is being incorporated in their software and in their solutions. I'm hoping when I go in the exhibit hall, I'll have some, but I just don't think I can take another disappointing year. I don't think I can handle it. We could be talking suicide. So that's what I'm not seeing yet.
I do believe Natalie Wolfson from Orion is going to be talking about that in one of her sessions for their AI type of stuff as far as implementing it.
I'm guessing that it's going to come because AI is actually something you could plug in now. And I've got a lot of thoughts about AI, but what I have seen so far, and it's just early in the conferences, you might have noticed, but there seems to be some willingness to completely rethink the structure and purpose of the AI architecture.
Okay.
And I saw that most clearly with Orion, where they're talking about, but also with the Advisor Engine. We're looking at not just, these different pieces of software. We're looking for an end-to-end solution that starts and ends with the client. And it's never been an end-to-end solution before. It's always been this component, and they're integrated together, and this component. And now we're talking about like having a data warehouse where all the data is in one place. We're talking about rethinking the whole process of financial planning, not CRM first, then the financial plan, but what does the client want to do first, and what is the journey, if you will? And it was all software centric, and now it seems to be some kind of overall solution centric. And I don't know what that's going to be, but I really like the idea of rethinking the whole process. I really like rethinking the whole architecture of fintech.
That sounds good to me. And how much of a role does integration play with all that? I suspect substantial.
Well, integration, it starts with integration, obviously, because, you've got to have your data moving from program to program seamlessly. And if you're stopping and starting and doing this and that, but more important than that, it's that, just as an example, the onboarding process is being completely rewritten now by just about everybody. But it used to be you filled out a form. And that was a sequential event. There was a blank here and a blank there. And the rethinking of that was, all right, we're going to create a questionnaire, or maybe 5 or 6 questionnaires is actually what it is. And you answer these questions, and then any one of those answers might populate 4 or 5 different fields in the paperwork. That same kind of concept seems to be working its way into the idea of what a financial planner provides for a client. And it may not be a financial plan, it may be a convenient process for the client to self-discover what they want. I mean, it may not be. I mean, but that's the kind of rethinking we're getting, is that now we're putting more and more of that concept into the client's hands. Now that's after 4 sessions and then a tax session. As soon as I finally get into the exhibit hall, I'll be able to figure out some more of this.
Absolutely. And I think that's a real big part of what technology is doing for us, is making our lives a lot easier as advisors, is taking the friction and the pain points away, and really letting us focus more on what we want to do, which is the planning work and the client engagement, and moving all that paperwork off to the ether somewhere to be done by hopefully some automation.
The things that I'm hoping I will see are automated solutions that the computer will just reach its hands out and do on behalf of clients. But the other thing that I'm hoping to see is the client interface. You know, we've never gotten to that UX experience. I guess that's redundant, isn't it? The UX that an app offers. You know, the whole app revolution. You know, it created a whole new emphasis on the UX side of software, particularly fintech software. But it was always about functionality first and UX second, and we never made that leap. What I think might happen now with AI is it'll make it much easier for advisors to navigate complicated software. AI will anticipate. It'll say, I notice you're doing this. It'll say, I notice you're not using this feature and you're doing something by hand. You were an idiot. I'm hoping it'd be more friendly than that. But and that will answer the other thing, which is most of these software companies, if you get them talking, get them drinking, especially, they'll say our advisors are only using 40% of the features we offer, and then they complain that we're not a good solution. AI might solve that problem as well. There's several things AI could be doing. I'm hoping to see them actually doing it at some point.
Absolutely. And that's a really great point, Bob, because in addition to goRIA, which is sort of my side hustle, I run a firm, right? So we were having this discussion with leadership at my shop recently, where we have some great software, but I think we're just scratching the surface of what they're able to do. And if AI can help us get more functionality of what we're paying for, which is no small dollar amount now, it's gotten to be pretty significant, that'd be a great use case for that AI.
Yeah, and the traditional way to evaluate costs of bringing on a new solution was you spend 1/3 of the money on buying the solution, you spend 2/3 of the money on training your staff on the solution.
Yeah.
That's really, there's a lot of inertia built into that equation. Do I really want to go through that training? Because it's not just time, it's not just money, it's time, it's people being patient with change. It's, there's a pain to it as well as the cost to it.
Yeah.
And we've got to address that also. So there are many things that are not really on the surface of AI. What everybody thinks of as AI is it's going to do it for you. But I think these other things below the surface are going to be much more important and much more powerful. But these fingers, I'm having trouble crossing my fingers for some reason. Don't ever get old is my best advice.
Yeah.
But my fingers crossed. I'm hoping that's what is going to be, I'm going to see when I get in there.
That sounds perfect. And the last thing, and I appreciate you taking some time to talk with us here today. I know you worked on a big report. I know we can't talk about the details because the big reveal is later today, but what can you tell us about that report?
Well, it's evaluating, I guess there's probably 100,000 data points in there, in the spreadsheet. And it's 2,917 users. And we asked them, what size firm they're with, whether they're fee only or duly registered or wirehouse, how many years of experience they have. And as you can imagine, and what associations they belong to, and many of them don't. More than 50% don't belong to any.
That's shocking.
As you can imagine, you can correlate that information with what software they're using. We ask, what software are you using, and what rating do you give it? And it's actually 1 point. I'm using this because I gave it a 7.0. or whatever it is, the scale of 1 to 10. So we calculate, what is the market share? What are the user ratings, average user ratings of every software program, which is really the hard Anglo-Saxon questions that everybody wants to know about software. But then we can correlate that with in an almost unlimited amount of ways. So, we do charts and graphs showing market share and average user ratings, change in average user ratings over the past year, change in aggregate user ratings, which I think is really important.
Mhm.
And we do that over the last 4 years. But what I observed, and then you do the data and then you look at it. You can't really change the data beforehand, nor would you want to. But so you do the data and then you look at it and you breathe a sigh of relief because it's really stable from year to year. There are changes, there are differences, sometimes dramatic differences, but overall, the overall data is stable. So the observations I can give you are that the user ratings over the past 3 years really have crept up. Seems to be some inflation in user ratings.
Ooh.
And I think that's good because that means that people are generally more satisfied with their solutions as time goes on. It's not true with every solution, and you'll see that when you see the report, but some are getting better, more are getting better than are getting worse, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're also seeing more adoption, the aggregate user ratings of the different categories is going up, oddly enough, except for CRM, except for CRM and except for the two digital marketing.
The CRM ratings are going down?
Not the ratings, but the aggregate usage has drifted downward over the last 2 years. Yes.
Usage of CRM going down?
I know.
That's shocking to me.
Financial planning is going up. We've finally given up telling everybody that 100% of people should be using financial planning software.
Yeah.
We're off that now because it's not going to happen. But it's fairly incremental. It's in the 90s still. And it was CRM. But what I think is happening is that people are becoming a little more. They're starting to question whether there might be better solutions, and project management software may offer them a better way to manage their business. Something like Hubly may give them which is basically a tracking everything program.
Okay.
May give them a better way to handle the same things that they're asking CRM to do. So what I'm expecting to see happen is that CRM will meet the challenge, and you'll see Redtail, Wealthbox, and Salesforce, and some of particularly the more interesting is the Salesforce overlays, which are customizing it.
Yeah, I like those.
You're going to start to get them meeting that challenge and starting to do some of the things that project management software does.
Interesting. Real good. So you're unveiling the report later today at T3. For those in the audience that are listening virtually that can't be here, unfortunately, with us today, how can they get their hands on that report?
It's going to be on the T3 website.
Okay.
This afternoon or this evening,
okay.
after 6 o'clock, I think.
All right.
It'll be on my website eventually, and people can send me an email, bob@bobveras.com. And they should know that, this took about a year of my life trying to do this, and I think I will live a year less as a result of having gone through this. So treat this gently. This is really an important thing for the profession, and we took it very seriously. Joel and I.
For sure. And what I will say for the audience, and again, our whole audience are people looking to go RIA.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are looking to go RIA, the technology stack is one of the most important things you could really think about as you're shaping how your firm is going to be. And I would really encourage you to take a look and a read at this report to help give you some guidance on what tech you should be considering and what some of the ratings are. And that can help you kind of sift through the wealth of fintech that's out there. So I would advise you and certainly recommend to check out Bob's report. And Bob Veras, thanks a lot for joining us today.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Okay. We'll see you soon. And for those of you in the audience, we'll be back in about 2 hours with our next guest. And we have about 3 or 4 more of these today. So stay tuned, and we'll join you back shortly here on goRIA, fueled by investment news. Thanks for tuning in.